So next, some of the things that I'm going to show you are how to add photos, videos, text, and links onto your different pages. So first, we will start out by going to the home page by double-clicking on the icon, which I already have it open, so it's right here. And what we'll do is click on the text box, create a box that's half the page, and we'll name this header. We'll increase the font to say 24, center it, cool, we'll call that good. And then we will create another box. And now something you can see is as I drag this down to add more content to the page, you can see that the footer goes down and then comes back up to match the content that we have on the page. So I will go ahead and create this text box. So what I'm going to do here is say this is a website for the Winterset, Iowa Library Outdoor Art Project. And now you can add whatever you would like to this website. You can create this website for whatever you want. It's just getting to learn Muse and things like that for when we create a website for the group portion of the class. So what we'll do next is go widgets library, and you can see that you have social. So you have all these different links to PayPal, LinkedIn, Google+. We can click this and drag it down. All of these different links that can go straight to social media. You can go through slideshows and you can see a little preview of them. And so what you can do with these is you can put them in and it'll scroll through photos. You have panels that you can create for tabbed areas where you have different content. And you can also put your menu in here, which is a more advanced thing that you can look up on how to do online if you're interested in using Muse. We have our menus that we've covered. We have our forms, which you can have detailed contacts and simple contact forms. There are compositions that are like the photos but are different. You can have text that scrolls through that have photos, or you can click through them. And then there are also buttons that you can create that will link to things. What we're going to use is the social button. And if you click on YouTube and drag this in here, you can see it'll begin to create a video. And we will shrink this down while holding shift so that it stays proportional. Line this up right here with this. We will click this button here. It gives you the video ID, the theme, the progress color, the start time. You can have the controls on the video, the info about the video. You can have the video automatically play. You can have it loop, allow full screen on your page, show the annotations, show related videos afterwards, and you can reduce the branding. So what we can do here is if you have your video uploaded to YouTube, you can add your you can add your video ID there. Now something else that you can do for videos that you do not have uploaded yourself, you can go Object, Insert HTML. So for anyone who knows coding, you can do your own coding within here, and when you place it, you can see that it's an HTML box. So what we're going to do is I have the Lumion intro, which I'm sure you're all happy to see again. We will go over to share, click on embedded, and you can see that it gives us like an HTML style code. And if you copy this, we will close out of this. You can go Object, Insert HTML, highlight this and hit backspace, right click and hit paste, or press Control V or Command V, and you can see that it gives the code from YouTube, and if you click OK, it will begin to load. Sometimes it does not look right. We'll just go ahead and shrink this down to where I want it. See what it looks like now. So you can see there is a video there. So now something that you can do is you can go View, and you can go Preview mode. Now what that'll do is it'll bring you to a preview window where you can look at what your page looks like and how it acts. Something else you can do is go File, Preview Page in Browser, which will create a fake uploaded page just from your desktop, and you can see that our video is there with all of our working links, and you can see as I hover over them they change just like we set it up before. If I hover over the Contact Me, it shows up red, and if I click on that, it will take me to my email where I can send an email to myself. And you can see if we hover over this video, we can click on it.
Hi students.
And it'll begin playing. So we're going to close out of this window for now. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and close out of your home page, and we can also close out of the master if you still have that open. Next we're going to go to Photos, and we are going to open up, hold on a second. So now what we're going to do is we're going to open this folder, and I will have a folder in Cybox that has all of the self-portraits as JPEGs. But for now, you can also import Photoshop files. So if you click and drag this into Muse and let go, you can see that I have a little icon here. If I click, it will import the image. Now, something that you can see is the image is really, really large. So if you hold Shift and Alt or Option when you click and drag this, okay, so for photos you don't need to hold Shift anymore. So if you just hold Option or Alt as you shrink it, it will shrink it into the middle to make it faster to shrink, and then you can reposition it. And you can see here, instead of just moving it like this, holding Alt or Option shrinks it to the middle. So we're going to place this here, and we will go and click the text tool. We will create a text box, and we will name it whoever's self-portrait it is. And I'm going to go ahead and shrink this box down. And then we will also create another text box. And we'll put this right here. And we will say where we So this is where you will allow people to have their information or write something about that person. So we can have the photo here. You can see their name, which we should have as a larger font. So for this we will go 18. And you can see that it automatically changes to text frame, so we'll rearrange this again. Shrink this a little bit and bring that down. Make sure this is centered with that and also aligned with that, as you can see by the lines that are appearing, the guidelines. So now what I'm going to do, because you're going to have multiple team members, I'm going to click and drag to highlight all of those assets. Control or Command C to copy, or you can right click and hit copy. And then I will either right click and hit paste and paste, or I can hit Control V and you can see that it'll create a copy. What I can do there is I can start to align these how I want them. And you can see that there are smart guides that show you that they are aligned. Now something else that shows up is you can see these little pop-ups there that say 16 pixels on each, the top and bottom. They allow you to know that it's equal spacing on the top and bottom from the footer to the bottom of the image. And this will do things along the page. So you can see here the distance between the portrait and the text box is equal to the distance between the text box and the portrait. So this allows you to keep things more aligned. But for now, we're just going to align it with the footer, align it with the top one. And now, so you will have quite a few of these self-portraits and the text box and information. So now that we have 4 of them, we can highlight all of them. And again, right click and hit copy, or hit Command or Control C. And then either right click and hit paste, or go Control or Command V. And you can see that it creates 4 of them. So we will drag these down. And now you can see where these come in handy is I can see that the distance between the 4 portraits that I'm placing is equal spacing to the first 2 that I lined up. And you can also see by the guide on the right hand side that they are aligned. So I'm going to place these here. Next what I'll do is I'll reopen my folder. And you can see that we have more self-portraits. So I'm going to click one, drag this into here and hit copy. And see now, where we would place it before, if I highlight over one of these self-portrait photo boxes that I've already created the size for, you can see that it becomes highlighted. I'm going to go ahead and click inside of one of those. So this has changed as well. One second. So they've made this a little more touchy now. So if we click and drag this in, let go. And now like I said, if you come up and make sure this is highlighted and go towards the outer edge and then click, then it will fill the page with the photo. Now, if you've ever used InDesign, you know that there is a photo box as well as the actual photo on sizing. And you can crop things by rearranging the photo box without changing the photo. It works the same way in Muse. If you click on it, you can see the image frame. Now if you double click, you can see that there's still actually more to this image that we're not including. So some of the things you can do here is you can resize it by seeing this orange outline. You can resize your image, again not holding Shift in Muse, which is backwards for some of the Adobe programs. And you can resize this, but for what we're going to do, maybe come over to this one. There we go. We're just going to include the section where her face is included. And something you can see right here is it makes sure everything's aligned just to remind you that that is one of the things that Muse has to help keep things organized. So now when I click off of it, you can see that we only see what's inside of the image frame. So now I will have a folder uploaded with all of these as JPEGs, and each one of them will be named so that you can correctly name everyone in the photos page. So we're going to go ahead and close out of this. Next, we're going to go into the Contact Us page. Now for this, we want to allow people to contact us. Now one of the things that one of the things in the widget library is we can close this, a forum, and we can go detailed or simple, and I will show you what both of those look like. So if you click and drag the detailed form in and let go, you can see that you can have the form name, and when someone fills out the form and hits submit, the email that it will go to. What happens after pressing submit, you can have it go to an email, you can have it go to one of the recent links that I've used, which this was a test link, one of the other pages, or you can have it download a file. You can also change the fields that are included. So now you can see if I click cell phone number, it will include the cell phone number into the form. You can also get rid of some of these. And now you can see that they will just include a message. Now if you click on this and hit the delete key or right click, okay, just hit the delete key. So now we will look at the simple contact. Now you can see that it has all the options that the detailed one has, but it's just laid out as a simple one. So we're just going to use this for what we need. So now make sure that the email to is your email that you want to be using. We keep the edit together on, and we will click and drag this right over here. And now something else that I want to include over here would be our social buttons. So say we had a Facebook page, we can include this here. The action is like or recommend the page. The layout is standard, or you can have the button count or the box count to show how many likes your page has. The color scheme can be light or dark. URL to like is the current page, when you can uncheck that, highlight this, and insert whatever your Facebook would be. Now, whether or not you want to create a Facebook page for this project and go all out is up to you, but for now we're just going to delete that, and you can either click on it and hit delete or go edit, clear. So that's what that is. Okay. So something that we will have, here it is, the Google Maps. So we can drag this in, and now we can add the address to the Winterset library. So if we go and hit enter, it's very broad. I don't know the address off the top of my head. You can see that it includes Winterset. We can change it from road map to hybrid to satellite to terrain. If you click on satellite, it will update and show you exactly what it'll look like right here in live view with no editing of text and re-rendering things out. You can also change the zoom level. You can see as I click that, it will zoom in even closer. So that is something that you'll want to include on your Contact Us page, because this is a public place where they will want to go and visit most likely. Now something else to notice is this Contact Me that we created on the master. I cannot click and edit that, nor can I accidentally delete it or change it because it is on the master page, not on the actual page itself. So now that I notice that's pretty close, I want to bring that down a little bit. I can go back to our main layout here. I can double click on master, click on the contact me page, and with the arrow keys I'm just going to arrow it down a little bit. So now when I go back to the contact us page, you can see that it's live updated and that it is brought down a little bit. So for the last page, we can close out of both of those. We have the history page. If we double click that, something I want to do in here is I want to have a slideshow of photos to show. So what we can do with those is we can go slideshows, and I'm going to do, let's see here, which one looks the best? Let's do a more basic one, just so we can keep things simple. So I'll drag this in, and you can see that there are default photos and some gibberish here. So I'm going to include this on the top of our history page in the center. So what I want to do here is I want this text box to take up the entire page. So you can see here that it's only scaling one way. If I hold Alt or Option and I does not work on these. So everything I just said is a lie. So you do have to do these manually. So we're going to rescale this, and you can see that it's also rescaling our photo. So if we double click on this, you can also see that you can shrink the photo down to fit things that are smaller or however you would like. So for now, I'm going to be happy with it going outside of the box because most of our photos will be longer and we can sort those as we want. Something else I want to have is I want these buttons to be on the sides of the page. So instead of being separate, they will be within the photo. So what we can do is if you click on the whole thing and then click on the previous button, we can drag that wherever we want it to be. You can see that it shows that it's centered with the image. We will also click this and you can see that it changed. And this shows us that it's perfectly aligned with the center, the top, and the bottom of the other button, as well as being aligned with the center of the photo. So now, if we click on the whole thing again, there is this blue arrow. Let's close this. If you click on this, it will show all of the options that you have for these slideshows. Just as the contact form, all of these are based off of the same widget, but they are all aligned or templated differently through what options they have selected. So we can have them fit the content, which would be the photo, proportionally to the box, which may include white space. Or we can have it fill the entire frame, but it may cut things off. So I'm okay with this. The thumbnails, which we do not have, but you can include thumbnails that people can click on to jump to specific photos. We want those to fill the frame proportionally. You can also have it transition, so it'll either fade, wipe horizontally, or wipe vertically. We're going to have it wipe horizontally. Transition speed is the time it takes to go from one photo to the next, which is 0.5 seconds, and that's fine. Have it autoplay. So when someone goes to this page, it automatically starts to go through your photos. And we're going to have that go every 3.5 seconds. I'm going to change this up to 5 seconds to allow people to see the photos for a little bit longer. And then the resume after is how long after they click to the next image that it will pick up into the next, continuing on to their 5-second cycle. You can have it play once and then stop, or just keep repeating, which we want it to keep repeating. If you have a lot of images, you can have it shuffle so it never just goes through the same order. You can also enable swipe, which what swipe will do is allow people on touch devices to swipe from the left to the right, or the right to the left, or the left to the right, and change images. You can also have Lightbox, which you can visually see. If I click this, it brings up other things. Full screen mode, which will fill the page. And now what this does is it has thumbnails. And what you're seeing is blocking everything. But when you actually view the website, which we can do by going File, Preview Page in Browser, and I'll drag this over, you can see that it's not what it's supposed to do. We won't worry about that. Let's go ahead and get our images back here. So anyway, for what we want, so what you can do while you're changing things, we don't want a caption, so you can click on that and hit delete. We don't want to count, so we can click on that and hit delete. We also don't want this thumbnail thing that I accidentally brought up, so we can click on that and hit delete. Let's go ahead and recenter this image here, and we'll go ahead and recenter these buttons. So now you can see if I click through these, that we want to have there used to be a loop option, and maybe that's what has become play once. So let's go ahead and view this. Oh, something you can see is that I did not keep it within the bounds of the page, and so it is stretching to the size of my browser instead of the size of my content area. That's something good that came up that we can fix. But you can also see that I can click through these photos. Okay, so it does loop. So we're going to go ahead and close that. So what you want to do is you want to keep these within these bounds right here. So now you can see the difference when I preview page in browser, that now it stays within our content area without scaling outside. And Muse knows to do that based on the proportions of the page. So let's go ahead and close that. So now we have this header with photos that draws you in. So next we're also going to include text. So we will go ahead and draw a text box here. That will be our header. And we're going to go ahead and make that larger. We'll also create that and make it bold. And we will center it. Something else you can do is you can go ahead and make that the size that you want for the box to make it a little easier to manage. And now what we'll do is we will create another text box. Now you can see that I did not create that in the content area. I accidentally created it in the footer. So it's a good thing to note that when you're creating things this way, sometimes it's easier to just drag a box and then rescale it later. And remember to keep it within this so that it doesn't scale outside of the page like we saw before within these guides. So now I like a big box here, so let's go ahead and center this to the whole page, seeing that it's equally spaced between the photo and the top of our text box. Now this is where you can include all of our wonderful research that we have done for the winner set library. We should probably capitalize winner set. So this is where you'll include all the research that you do. Now, you probably want to have actual winner set library photos here. So if you click on this, choose this arrow, and hit add images, you can see that it'll bring up your file viewer, and from there you can locate your images of winner set. So let's go ahead and close out of that. Now, something that you may want to do if you decide you want more pages or you want more customizable website, since you do have some freedom with the design of your website. And something to point out right away is that you can see a thumbnail of each page to know what is on those pages. So something else you can do is, say under your photos page, we rename this to About Us. So now let's go ahead and create another page and call this, let's go ahead and call this About Us 2, since you can't have two pages with the same name. Now you can see this is a sub page because this is the main page, and then below it we created another page by clicking the plus underneath of it. So now I want this page to be the master page. There we go. It's a little finicky. So let's go ahead and change this to photos, and we'll create this back to About Us. So now what that allows us to do is we can use this to talk about the project or to give information about what we're doing or who we are, and then it also allows us to have a specific page for all of our photos that is not cluttered up by all of the other images. So now that we've created a subpage, something we might want to do is go to Master, click on our menu, move that for now. Never mind, I don't want to do that. Click on our menu here. Is there a way to hide these? Hold on. Okay. So what these do is if I bring these in, you can see that things become scrunched, and we can view what they will look like on a phone compared to a tablet compared to other things. So what I'm going to do is, because we're not dealing with that right now, is I'm going to go to View, Hide Breakpoints. And now we can click on this and easily get to this little menu button. For the menu type, I also want to include all pages. So now what this does is, you can see if I click on this, it will include a drop down that says Photos. Now all of these menus are very customizable, so you can resize all of these things, you can move them. You can only move them in manual menus. They keep them very structured for the automatic menus. But so now what this does is if we go to preview page in browser, when I hover over this, it brings up a page for photos. So I can click on this and it would take me to the photos page if I had opened the whole website. So now what that does is it allows people to go to the About Us and learn information about us without being cluttered with all of our photos as well. So that's another option that you have, or something that you could do to customize your pages or add pages that you don't, or that you want to include different information or show more stuff about our project. So that's really a lot of the basics of Adobe Muse. We can, talk about more in-depth things in class if you have questions. There's also a lot of great tutorials and short little how-tos for more complex things, but for the simplicity of learning how to use Muse, this covers all of the basics. So we can close out of this master. So now the final thing that we're going to want to do is File, Save Site. I'll just save this to my desktop, and we're going to call this AJ Anderson website 232. And I hit save, and I know that it's saved. So if you want to preview everything to make sure it's working correctly, you can go preview site in browser. And you can see here, this is our home page, our home page. You can click on history and see there's our photos and all of our wonderful research that we've done with the contact me link that works. When you go to the About Us, you have a drop down for photos, and you can see all of our great photos. When you go to the Contact Us page, there's our Google Map, which works just like Google Maps. You can drag around, you can save things, you can view a larger map, you can see our profile. So it works just like Google Maps, and I can zoom in here. Oh look. So, there's the library. Not too hard to find. And then you can also see over here is our working form. So you can enter your name and all sorts of other fun stuff here. And then when you hit submit, it will send an email to the person that, or to the email that you set. So whoever goes to your website will be able to view that message. One thing that I forgot is that you'll probably want to link your header back to your home page. So on the master page, if you click on the header, hyperlinks homepage. That easy. You just click on the text box. Up at the top it says hyperlinks. You click homepage. So now you can see if we hover over this, it shows a little cursor icon. If I click it, you can see that it loads our homepage. Now, something to note is that when you change things and you have not saved, there is a very little asterisk next to your layout tab title. If you just hit Control or Command S, it will save it. Once you're getting into your own custom editing, you can see if you hover over objects, they show their shortcut keys. And then inside of the menus, they also have their shortcut keys for Windows or Mac. So the final thing you'll want to do is export as HTML. We'll just put this in a and we'll say actually we probably don't even need to do that. We can just save it as a Muse file and upload that, and someone else will be able to download the Muse file and open it that way to look at your website. So that'll keep things simple without having to worry about more complex exporting things as well. So that is all of the basics for Adobe Muse that you will need to learn or need to know before you dive in and start creating your own website and having fun being creative and designing a website with the criteria on the rubric, as well as being able to include other things that you want. So that is all for this tutorial, and I thank you guys for watching.